This video is sponsored by Adapty.io. Adapty helps mobile developers to analyze and grow in-app subscriptions, integrate in-app purchases within a few hours, and run monetization experiments faster and cheaper. Adapty will help us to test prices of in-app purchases without app release, integrate IAPs within a few hours with a simple, developer-friendly SDK, no server coding required. Double your subscription revenue in 3 months with A/B testing for paywalls. Measure your in-app economy from trials to refunds with real-time analytics. It is a mobile SDK that supports iOS, Android, Flutter, and React Native. This platform will help you to integrate with a lot of other services. You can hook up right away with Adjust, Amazon S3, Facebook, AppMetrica, and with many more platforms. And you can have all the analytics you need in one place. You can also check the pricing section. Right now they have 3 plans activated: Free Plan, Pro Plan, and Enterprise Plan. You can check all the features and benefits they are providing with their pricing. Setting up Adapty is very easy. Don't worry if you are not a professional developer. It won't take you long to set up. From start to ending, they have pretty well structured documentation that you can follow easily to connect your store. To analyze and grow in-app subscriptions, visit www.adapty.io. Hi everyone, welcome to our React.js course. This course is completely for beginners. In this course, we are going to build a complete responsive tour and travel website using React.js. Now let me show you what we are going to build in this entire course. In this course, we are going to create this beautiful looking professional tour and travel agency website using React.js. On the top of our website, here you can see that we have a beautiful navbar, and in the navbar, in the left side we have our logo, and in the right side we have our nav links with some beautiful hover effect. And if I scroll down here, you can see that our navbar is not moving from the top. It means this navbar is static. In this course, we are going to learn how to create a static navbar using React.js. Underneath of our navbar, here you can see that we have a beautiful hero section. And in this hero section, we have a beautiful image, we have a heading, we have a text, and then we have a button. And if I scroll down here, you can see that we have another section. And this section is called Popular Destination. We have a heading, we have a small text, and here we have a beautiful description of these places. In the left side here you can see that we have a heading and we have a paragraph, and in the right side we have some beautiful images, and the image layout is looking so amazing in this website. And underneath of this section we have the same section, but this time the position is in reverse. It means our images is now in the left side and our text is now in the right side. After this section, we have our recent trips. Here you can see that we have our heading, we have our text, and then we have 3 beautiful cards with this amazing hover effect. Here you can see that in our cards, we have some beautiful images, we have some heading and some text about the place. And after our recent trips, we have our simple but standard footer. And here you can see that in our footer we have our logo, we have our text, and then we have some social media icons with some beautiful hover effect. And at the bottom we have some important links. And this footer is looking so aesthetic in our website. After our home page, if we visit in our about page, here you can see that inside our about page we have a hero section with a heading, and we have some text, we have some history about our website, about this company. And after our about page, if we visit our service page, here you can see that in the service we have the same hero section, but the heading is different. And inside our this service section we have our recent trips component, and we are using the same component from our home page. After this one, if I go inside our contact us page, here you can see that this is our contact us page, and in our contact us page we have now a different background image for our hero section, and we have a different heading. And if I scroll down here, you can see that we have a beautiful contact us form, and here we have a heading, we have a name field, we have an email field, we have a service and a message field as well. And here we have a button with a beautiful hover effect. After that we have our footer. And as I said earlier, this website is going to be completely responsive. Let me show you. If I inspect the website and if I select any smartphone from here you can see that in our mobile screen device, our website is looking like this. On the top in our navbar, we don't have any nav links, but instead of nav links, we have a beautiful hamburger menu. If I click on this hamburger menu, here you can see that our all the nav links is now converted into a sidebar, and this sidebar is sliding from the left side, and then we have our home, our about, service, contact, and sign up button. Now if I close, here you can see that our sidebar is now closing in the left side. And this is our hero section. We have our heading, text, and button. And if I now scroll down, here you can see that we have our popular destination. And then now we have our images and our text. Again we have our image and text. After this we have our recent trips with our these beautiful cards and our footer section. And as you can see that our home page is looking so professional in our small screen device. Now if we visit in our about page, here you can see that this is our about page and we have our history and our footer. And now if I visit our service page, this is our service page with our recent trips component and our footer component. Now let's visit our contact us page. And as you can see that our contact us page is looking also good in our small screen device. We have our contact us form and our footer. And in this course we are going to build this complete responsive tour and travel agency website using React.js. Also we are going to learn React basic to advanced concepts while creating this complete project, and best folder and file structure. And if you find this course helpful, then please support this channel, leave a like, comment, and subscribe this channel. And if you guys are new in my channel and if you guys have any question about this course, about this video, then please let me know in my comment section. And if this video gets 1000 likes, then we will start building more React.js projects in the future. That's it guys. Now let's start creating this beautiful website. Now you have to open your favorite code editor. And in my case, I'm going to use Code Sandbox for creating this project. If you want, you can use any local code editor like VS Code. And the Code Sandbox is also pretty similar to VS Code. It has all the features and functionalities like VS Code. And the main reason why I am using Code Sandbox is that if you are using VS Code, then you have to install a lot of React libraries, a lot of packages in your local machine, and it takes so many time and so many space from your computer. So I don't want to just store all of the space of my computer just installing a React.js. So that's why I'm going to use a Code Sandbox, and it is an online code editor. And the interesting thing is that if you are using Code Sandbox, then you don't have to install all of those libraries, all of those packages inside your local machine. All of the important and necessary files will be installed inside your browser, and it will save you so many time and spaces from your computer. So what you have to do is you just have to go inside codesandbox.io. This is the URL, and you will see this page. So this is the Code Sandbox website. So for using Code Sandbox, it is pretty easy. What you have to do is you just have to create an account. It is completely free, and after creating an account you just have to sign in. Okay, so now if I sign in, and in the sign in option you will find multiple options to sign in. Now I am choosing GitHub, and the Code Sandbox will automatically connect with your GitHub account. Now here you can see that this is my dashboard. Now what we have to do is we have to create a new project. So for creating a new project, you just have to click on this new sandbox, and here you can see that we have so many pre-built templates and we can use all of them. But now for this project I'm going to use React, so I will simply click on React, and you will see in just a few seconds your React will be installed inside your browser. That's it guys. Here you can see that we have successfully installed React. We have successfully created a new sandbox using codesandbox.io, and this is it. In the left side here you can see that we have our folder structure, which is pretty similar to VS Code, and in the middle we have our coding section, and in the right side we have our preview screen. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. Now if you create an account inside Code Sandbox, then you can customize all of these things, all of the font size, and you can also choose the theme. Okay, so just create an account and customize it according to your need. Okay, now let me give you a small tour about our folder structure. If you are using VS Code, then I think you will be seeing some of these files, and also you can see some of extra files beside this. So what you have to do is, inside the source folder you have to just create a app.js file. Here you can see that this is our app.js file, and if I click on index.js file, this is our index.js file, and if I click on a style sheet, so this is our style sheet. And if you are using VS Code, then please keep these three files. Okay, if you don't have these three files, then create one and then add this code here. Okay, now we will start our coding. If I go to our website, here you can see that on the top we have our Navbar. So first we have to create our Navbar so that we can easily navigate different pages from our website. So for creating this Navbar, what we have to do is we have to simply create a component, a Navbar component, and what I will do is I will use this Navbar component in our home page, in our about page, in our service page, and in our contact us page. Okay, this will be a component, and I'm going to use the same component inside different pages. And this is the fun fact of using React. We can use components almost everywhere inside our website. Okay, so for creating our Navbar, we have to create a component. Now what I will do is I will go inside my source folder, and here I will create a new directory, and the directory name will be components. That's it. And inside my components folder I will create our first component, so that's why create file, and here I will create our Navbar component, so that's why it will be navbar.js. Now after creating a Navbar component, we have to style it. So for styling our Navbar, we have to create a separate style sheet for our this Navbar component. So that's why I will click write again and then create a new file, and it will be Navbar styles.css. That's it, guys. Now what I will do is I will simply close my index.js file and a style.css, and what I will do, I will simply open our navbar.js and navbar style.css. Now you have to remember one thing. Every time you create a style sheet for a specific particular component, then what you have to do, you have to import that style sheet inside Navbar or that particular component. Okay, so here first I will import our style sheet, so that's why write import, and then we have to add quotation dot slash, and it will be Navbar styles.css. So now we have successfully imported our style sheet inside our Navbar styles.css. Okay, now we have to start creating our Navbar. So for creating our Navbar, we have to create a class component. So for creating a class component, we have to write class, and then we have to add the component name, and it will be Navbar. Then I will extend our this component for a reason. I will tell you and I will show you that reason future in this video. Okay, now we will extend our component, and guys, here you can see that as soon as I write component, our code editor is automatically importing that component on the top of our code. Okay, if the auto importing is not working for you, then you have to write this line of code manually. Okay, so now after extending our class component, we have to add a curly braces, and then we have to add render. Now one thing you have to remember, we are using render because we are extending our component. In some other case, if we don't want to extend our component, then we don't need to add the render. Okay, I'm using render because we are extending our component. So this is kind of a formula. If you want to extend your component, then you have to render it. Okay, after render we have to add a curly braces, and here we have to add return. Now inside this return we will start creating our navbar. Now what I will do is I will add a nav tag. Then we have to add a class name inside our nav tag, and the class name will be navbar items. And inside our navbar item, first we have to add our this logo, which is Trippy. So for adding the logo, I'm going to use a h1, and then I will add a class name as well, and the class name will be navbar logo, and the logo name will be Trippy. After our logo, I will create another list for our these nav links. Let's create a ul, another list, and the class name of this another list will be nav menu. And inside our another list, I will create our first link. So that's why I create a list tag, and inside our list tag, I will create a link tag. Okay. In HTML we have used anchor tag, but in React we have to use link tag, because if we switch our pages inside our website, then we have to use the link, and inside this list tag I'm going to use link tag, and inside this link tag I will create our home. And if I go to our website, here you can see that before our home we have an icon also, so we have to add the icon. So for adding the icon, I'm going to use font awesome icon. So for adding font awesome icon inside your website, you have to add a CDN link inside your code. So that's why let's create a new tab, and here we have to search for font awesome CDN and then type enter, and you have to open this link cdnjs.com. so open this first link, and from here you have to select the first one, and then you have to copy the link tag. After copying it, let's go to our code, and if I go to our public, here you will find index.html. so simply open this index.html, and this index.html file is basically a template. You don't need to worry about anything. What you have to do is, before your title, you just have to paste the link tag. So here you can see that this is our title, and this is our link tag, which is our CDN link for using font awesome icons. Now save and close the index.html file, then go to our navbar.js, and before our home we have to create a I tag for using icon. Okay, so let's create a I tag, and for using font awesome icons you have to go to the official website of fontawesome.com, and this is the official website of font awesome. So what you have to do, you have to simply click on this icon, and here you have to search for your icon. So I'm going to use a home icon like this, so that's why we have to search for home. And here you can see that we have a lot of icons that we can use, and I will simply select the first one, simply click on this, and here you will find the icon. So simply copy this icon tag and then go to our code, and instead of our this icon tag, I will simply paste the icon tag. Now here you can see that in our preview screen we cannot see anything inside our preview screen, because this is just a component, and this component is not a part of our this preview screen yet, because we have to import this Navbar component inside our app.js file. Here you can see that inside our app.js file we have h1, and this h1 is showing here. Then we have a h2, and this h2 is showing here. So what we have to do is we have to import our Navbar component inside our app.js file. So for adding that, I will simply remove this h1 and h2. So for importing a component, just type the component name and it will be Navbar. And guys, here you can see that we have an error, and this error is saying that Navbar is not defined. Okay, if you are using a component inside app.js file, then you have to import that component on the top. So for importing the component, we have to write import, then we have to add the component name, which is Navbar. from code dot slash. Then here you can see that we have components folder showing, then slash, and here you can see that we have our Navbar component showing. Now what you have to do, if you are importing a component, then you have to make sure that component has a default value. It means if you are importing a component, then you have to make sure that component is allowing other files to export that component. Since we are importing this component, now we have to allow this component so that we can use this component in different pages. So that's why we have to use export default, and then we have to add the component name, which is Navbar. That's it. Now here is another error, and it is showing that link is not defined. Okay, so we are using link. So what we have to do is we have to import this link from a different package, which is React Router DOM. So what we have to do, first we have to install that React Router DOM inside our code editor. So for installing a new package, what you have to do is simply go to the dependency section, and right now here you can see that in our dependency section we have installed React, we have React DOM, and also we have React scripts. So these three things are installed inside our folder. Now we have to install another thing, which is React Router DOM. So what we have to do, we just have to write the package name, which is React Router DOM. So this is the package I am going to install inside our folder. So simply click on this, and here you can see that in just a few seconds our React Router DOM is installed inside our folder. Now if I go to our package.json, here you can see that if I scroll down, you will find a section called dependencies, and here you can see that React Router DOM is also installed, also added inside our package.json. So now we can say that we have successfully installed React Router DOM inside our folder. Now we can use React Router DOM as a package. Okay, let's go to our navbar.js, and now what I have to do is I have to import the link from React Router DOM. So that's why we have to add import, then we have to add curly braces, then we have to add the functional name, which one we want to import, and I want to import link from React Router DOM. Now here you can see that we have another error, and it is saying that use href may be used only in the context of router component. So if we are using link, then we have to use this link as a router inside our app.js file. Okay, and what I will do is inside our app I will import router, and a router and a route, all of this is actually from the React Router DOM. So that's why if you want to use link from React Router DOM, then you have to use other packages as well from React Router DOM. Okay, so that's why first I'm going to use routes, and here you can see that I have an auto import suggestion. Now if I click on this, here you can see that our routes is auto importing from React Router DOM. Okay, and inside our routes we have to simply add our this navbar. Okay, that's it. Okay, here you can see that we have still one more error. Okay, now what I will do is I will remove the link, because all of the error is happening because of the link. We will use the link later, but right now I'm going to use only anchor tag instead of link. So that's why it will be a and a, that's it. And if we are not using link, then we don't have to use routes also. So I will simply remove the routes, that's it. Now here you can see that inside our div tag we just have only our component, and this component is showing inside our preview screen. Now our website is working and we don't have any error. And if I go to our navbar.js, and if I increase the preview size, okay, now in React if you are using an anchor tag, then you have to always put a href, and here you have to put a valid URL, and now I'm going to use just a slash. That's it. And here you can see that inside our icon we have a class, and inside our React we cannot use class, we have to use class name instead of class. Okay, so it will be class name. That's it. Now here you can see that our React Navbar is working perfectly. We have our logo and our home link. Okay, now we have to create other links as well, but instead of using the simpler way, if I simply copy this anchor tag and paste for a few more times, we can create many nav links like this. But I want to make our this navbar more professional. I am going to use dynamic properties for this navbar. It means I will create a separate file for storing all the nav links, and from that specific file I will extract all the data inside our navbar.js. Okay, so for storing all the nav links inside a different file, we have to go to our components, and here we have to create a new file, and the file name will be menu items.js. That's it. Now here we have a menu item.js, and inside our menu item.js I will simply create an array of our nav links, and then we will extract the array from our menu item.js. So for creating an array, first we have to create a function. So let's create a export const, and the function name will be the file name, which is menu items. Then we have to create an array, and inside this array I'm going to create all of our nav links. Now let's start creating our first nav link. So that's why I create a curly braces, and here we have to create some variables, and using these variables we are going to play around with our navbar. So let's create a variable named title, and the title name will be home. Then our each nav links is going to having a different URL, so that's why let's create a different variable URL, and the value for this URL will be slash. Then I want to create a specific class names for a specific nav links, and it will be helping us for adding different stylings for different nav links. We can play around with our nav links using the class names. So that's why we have to use a variable for storing the class name, and the variable will be cname, and the class name will be nav links. Then I'm going to add an icon. Here you can see that beside our home we have an icon. So for adding the icon we have to create another variable, and the variable name will be icon. And here what we have to do is, if I go to our navbar, here you can see that we have an icon for our home, and from here what we have to do, we have to just take the class name, which is fs solid space fs/house/user. So we are just going to need the class names here. Now paste the class name, and this will not be equal, it will be colon. That's it. Sorry, my mistake. That's it. Now here you can see that we have successfully created our first nav link, which is home, and for this home we have a URL, and for this home we are having a class name which is nav links, and also with our each nav links we are going to having a different icon. So that's why we have a class name for that icon. So after creating our first nav link, add a comma, and then what you have to do is simply copy this nav link and then paste it 3 or 4 times. That's it. Now our second nav link will be about, and the URL of this about will be /about, and the class name will be same, and the icon name will be fs solid space fa circle info, and our third nav link will be service, and the URL will be /service, class name will be same, and the icon name will be fs solid fa dash briefcase, and our this one will be contact, and the URL will be /contact, class name will be navlinks, and the icon name will be fa solid space fa address book, and our last one will be sign up, and our URL will be sign up, and we don't need any icons with our this sign up button, and I will simply add a different class name for our this sign up button, and the class name will be nav dash links dash mobile. Now here you can see that inside our menu items.js we have successfully stored all of our nav links and all of our details for each of the nav links. Now what I will do is I will simply extract all of this data inside our navbar.js. But for using the data from menu items, we have to import the menu items on the top. So that's why let's write import. Then we are simply importing some data from menu items. So that's why we have to add a curly braces, and here we have to write menu items from /menu items. Now we can use all the data from our menu items inside our navbar.js. Now I will close our this sidebar using a shortcut which is Ctrl V. That's it. Now we have a bigger screen. Okay. Now what I will do is, here you can see that we have our unordered list, and all the changes will be happening inside our unordered list. Okay. And here inside our unordered list we have a list tag, and inside the list tag we have our first nav link which is home. Okay. Now we have already stored our these nav links and our these icons inside our menu items.js. Now we just have to simply extract all of this data inside our this link tag, this list tag. Okay. So for doing that, what we have to do is we have to create a curly braces, and here we have to initialize our menu items. And if I go to our menu items, here you can see that this is just an array, and we have our first index, second index, third index, and so on. And what we will do, we will simply map each of these items from our menu items. So that's why we have to use map double parenthesis, and from the menu items we have to target our item. So we have to add item, and we are targeting our items depending on the index number. This is our index number 0, index number 1, index number 2, index number 3, and index number 4. Okay, so after item we have to target our index number. So that's why it will be index. And now we will create an arrow function, and inside this arrow function we have to add return, and inside our return we have to simply take our this list tag from here and add that list tag inside our return. That's it. Now here you can see that we have our 5 nav links, but right now it is all showing home because we have only home here, but we will change these things in a bit. Now here you can see that inside our return we have our list tag. Now what we have to do, we have to make our this list tag dynamic. So for making our list tag dynamic, here you can see that we have 5 nav links, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this list tag will take values from each index number. Okay, so that's why we have to show our list tag that we have some index number to target. So that's why we have to add a key, and then we have to add curly braces, and it will be index. Okay, now our list tag knows that we have to target our index number for getting the values. Now after targeting our index number, what we have to do, inside each of the index we have different properties like title, URL, class name, and icon. Now we have to use these properties inside our this list tag. Okay, now here you can see that for our anchor tag we have a href, and inside our anchor tag we have a icon, and then our nav link name. Okay, now first I will change the icons. So for changing the icons we have to make our this icon tag dynamic. It means what I will do here, you can see that for our home icon we have a class name which is fa solid, fa house user. Now we will simply change the class names, and these class names will be provided from here, the icon class name. Here you can see that we have different class names for icons. So this icons class name will be added inside our this class name. So for doing that, I will simply remove the old class name, and here what I will do is I will add a curly braces. Then I will take the item dot, and here you can see that now I have a suggestion, and this suggestion is saying that we have icon property, we have title property, and then we have URL property. Which one you want to take? I want to take the icon property, so I will simply click on this icon, and guys, boom, here you can see that we have different icons for different nav links. Now our icon tag is dynamic. Our icon tag is taking all the values, all the different class names from their indexes, from their items. Now I have to do the same for our these nav links. We have home, we have about, and then we have service. Right now everything is home, but I want to change these things. I want to add different nav links, and all the nav links will be coming from our this title property. So for doing that, let's go to our navbar.js. Here you can see that we have our home. Now I will make our this nav link in a dynamic property. So for doing that, simply delete it, and then what we have to do, we have to take curly braces, then again we have to take items dot, then again we have our suggestion. Right now what we want to use, I want to use our title, so I will simply click on title, and boom, here you can see that our all the nav links is now different, and these nav links and these different nav links is coming from our this title property. See, we can now use all of these things inside our navbar.js. And one more interesting thing that I want to show you, if in future if you want to change the nav links, what you have to do is you just have to go inside the menu items.js, and you have to change the properties from here. You don't have to go inside the main file and change all of this, but instead of it you can just go to menu items and change all of the properties here. Suppose if I want to change this name from service to service, so now we can change everything from here, and all the changes will be easily showing inside our website. So now let's go to our navbar style. Now what I will do, I will simply style our these nav links. For styling the nav links, let's go to our navbar style.css. Now we will start styling our navbar. First we have to go to our navbar.js, and from here we have to take the class name which is nav items, and then paste it here. And here you can see that our this logo and our this nav links is now in one column, but I want them in one row, so that's why we have to use the display, and it will be flex, then justify content will be a space between, then align items will be center, and I will add some padding, and the padding from top and bottom will be 0, but from left and right it will be 30 pixel. After this one I want to add a box shadow around our this navbar, so that's why add box shadow property, and from X it will be 0, from Y it will be 5 pixel, and the radius will be 15 pixel, and it will be 0, and the color will be a RGBA color, and it will be 0, 0, 0 and 0.25. Here you can see that we have a box shadow around our this navbar. After this one I want to set the width. Okay, I want to set the width for our this navbar, and the width will be 95%, and I will add a height also, and the height will be 80 pixel. Then I want to add some border radius around our navbar, so that's why it will be border radius, and it will be 13 pixel. That's it. Now if I increase the size, here you can see that our navbar is not actually on the top because we have some spacing around our navbar. It is happening because of our global style sheet. If I go to our this global style sheet, here you can see that we have a app, and here I will use some general properties like star margin will be 0, then padding will be also 0, then box sizing will be border box. That's it. Now here you can see that we do not have any space. Okay, after this one I want to change the font family. I don't want to use the sans serif. I will use a different font family from Google Fonts. So that's why let's go to our Google Fonts and open the first link, and from here I will search for Poppins, this one. Here I will find some fonts. Now I will simply select some of them. That's it. Now if I go to the top and select here you can see that I have selected all of these fonts, and from here I will simply click on import, and here we have an import link. So I will simply copy the import link and then go to the top and then paste it here. Then if I go to the font, here you can see that we have a font family. Simply copy this font family and then add it inside our start. That's it. Now here you can see that our all the font is now taking these Poppins as their font family. That's it. Now save and close the style sheet and close the sidebar. Okay, now let's start styling our these navlinks. Let's go to our navbar, and from here copy this navbar logo class name and then paste it here. Then I will add a color, and the color will be this one. Then I will add a font size and it will be 2 rem. Then I will add a cursor pointer. That's it. After our logo, now we have to style our these navlinks. These navlinks is now in one column, but I want them in one row. So for this one, let's go to our navbar.js, and from our another list simply copy this nav menu class name and then paste it here. And this time I'm going to use display grid. Then I will use grid templates column, and it will be repeat 6 because we have 6 properties and each one will take auto, and I want to add some gap between them, so that's why it will be grid gap, and the gap will be 10 pixel. Then I want to remove the bullet points, so that's why list style will be none and align items will be center. Okay, so after the nav menu, now I want to remove the underlines from our these nav links. So for removing the underlines, we have to take the class name. If I go to our navbar, here you can see that we have our anchor tag, and inside our anchor we do not have any class name, but in our menu item here you can see that we have some class names for each of these nav links. So what I will do, I will simply make our this anchor tag also in a dynamic property. So that's why we have to add a class name, add curly braces, and here it will be item dot, and this time I am going to take the cname, which is the class name. So this class name is basically our this class names navlinks. So I will simply copy this navlinks class name and then go to our style sheet and target the navlinks. First of all, I will remove the underline, so that's why text decoration will be none. That's it. Then I will add a color, and the color will be this one. Then I want to add a font size, and the font size will be 1.2 rem. Then I will add a font weight, and it will be 600. Then I will add a padding, and the padding from top and bottom will be 0.7 rem, and from left and right it will be 1 rem. And here you can see that after giving padding, our this icon and our this nav link is now in 2 rows, but I don't want it. I want everyone to take the single line, so that's why I will use white space and it will be no wrap. Now here you can see that all the nav links and all the icons is now in one row. Okay. So after this one, now I want to add some space between our icon and our nav link. So that's why I will simply copy this nav links class name and then paste it here. Then target our icon, and here I will add some padding right, and it will be 10 pixel. That's it. Now after this one, I want to add some hover effect. So that's why copy this one again and then paste it here. Then add hover. And if I hover on our these nav links, I want to change the background color, and the background color will be this one. Then I want to change the text color, and it will be white. Right now it is black. Then I want to add a border radius, and it will be 4 pixel. Then I want a smooth transition. That's why it will be all 0.2 second is in out. Now if I hover, here you can see that we have a beautiful background for our hover effect, and our text color is also changing into white, and we have a smooth transition. Okay, so right now here you can see that we have a sign up button. What I will do is, in our large screen device, I will hide our this sign up button. So for hiding the sign up button, what we have to do, we have to go to our menu item.js, and here you can see that we have a class name navlinks mobile for that button. So copy this class name and then paste it here. So for hiding the button, it will be simply display none, and here you can see that we don't have any button. But if I go to our website, here you can see that we have a sign up button. So what I will do, I will simply create this sign up button inside our navbar.js. So for creating the sign up button, here you can see that after our menu items, I will create a button tag, and it will be sign up. That's it. And here you can see that we have a sign up button. Now for styling the button, let's go to our Navbar style, and here we will target the button, and here I will add a padding, and the padding from top and bottom will be 0.5 rem. From left and right it will be 1 rem. Then I will use quite a space, no wrap, because I want the button in one row. Then I will add a border radius, and it will be 0.3 rem. Then I will add a font size of 1 rem, and a font to weight, and the font to weight will be 600. Then I don't want any border, and the border will be none. Then I will add a cursor pointer. After this one, I want to add a hover effect, so that's why copy the button and add a hover. And if I hover, I want to change the background color and the text color. So the background color will be this one, and the color will be white. That's it. If I now hover, here you can see that our bottom color is changing, but I want a smooth transition, so that's why I will add a transition, and it will be 0.2 second is in out. Now if I hover, here you can see that I have a smooth transition. Okay, so guys, here you can see that we have successfully created our navbar, but in our small screen our navbar is not looking good. So what we have to do, we have to make our this navbar responsive. If I go to our website, and if I inspect the website, and in our small screen, here you can see that instead of our complete nav links, we have a hamburger menu, and if I click on this hamburger menu, we have a close icon also. So what I will do, I will simply import the hamburger icon and the close icon inside our website. Okay, so for doing that, let's go to our navbar.js, and if I go to the top, here you can see that we have our h1 for logo. After this h1, we have to create a div tag, and inside the div tag I will import our hamburger icon and the close icon. So the class name of this div tag will be menu icons. Let's import the icons, and here we have to add the class name for the icons. So for the hamburger icon, we have to add a class name FASFA dash bars, and here you can see that we have a bar icon. And similarly, if we want to add the close icon, simply copy this icon tag and then paste it here, and it will be FAS FA times, and here you can see that we have a close icon. Okay, so right now in our this navbar, our hamburger icon and our this close icon is showing all together, but I want to show one at each time. Okay, so for doing that, what we have to do, we have to make our this complete div section as a toggle, and if we do that, then we will be able to show only one icon at once. So for making our this div tag working, we have to do some work. So what I will do is I will use a state. So for using a state, we have to initialize the state, and here instead of two icon, we have to keep only one icon tag, and we have to remove the class name of this icon, and instead of it, we have to make this icon as a state. Okay, so for initializing a state, we have to use this dot state, and here you can see that I have a suggestion. If I click on the state, that's it, nothing happens. Okay, so after a state, we have to add a click event. It means if anyone click on one icon, then I will switch that icon and show another icon. So that's why it will be clicked. And here I'm going to use if else, because we have two different icon. One is hamburger and another one is close icon. If anyone click on the hamburger icon, then I want to switch the icon, then I want to show the close icon. But if anyone click on the close icon, then I want to switch it again, and it will be hamburger icon. So that's why we have to use if else. Right now we have to find the state. We have to see which icon is showing. Okay, just suppose right now our hamburger icon is showing. Okay, and if anyone click on that hamburger icon, then I want to show the close icon. So that's why it will be the class name of close icon, and the class name is FAS FA dash times. And if anyone click on the close icon, then I want to show the hamburger icon. So that's why we have to add the class name of hamburger icon, which is FAS FA dash bars. That's it. Let me explain you this state again. Right now we have to find the state. So for finding the state, we have to initialize the state, and our state will be only initialized if one of the icon is clicked. So that's why we have to add the click event. And suppose our hamburger menu is showing, and if anyone click on that hamburger icon, then I will switch the icon and show our close icon. And after showing the close icon, if anyone click on that close icon, then I will switch the icon again, and I will show the bar icon this time. Okay, so after initializing and finding the state, we have to set the state as false, because we cannot run a state all the time. We have to only make the state working if we want to. Okay, so for initializing the state value, we have to go to the top, and here you can see that we have a class Navbar extend component. After this line, we have to make our state. So that's why a state, and here you can see that we have a clicked, and we will make this clicked event as false. So that's why clicked, and it will be false. That's it. Now here you can see that our state is now false, and that's why our hamburger icon is showing. But if I click on this hamburger icon, nothing is happening, because we have to make our this state working. Okay, we have to make our click working. So for doing that, we have to create another function, and the function name will be handle click, and we will create an arrow function. And if anyone click on our this hamburger icon, then we have to make our this state as true. So for doing that, we have to add this set state, then clicked. So right now the clicked is false, and now we have to make the clicked value opposite of this false. So the clicked value will be here, is not this dot state dot clicked. Okay, Here you can see that state is false. Now we have to make our this state true if anyone click on that. So for making the false value into true, we have to add the opposite value, opposite of false, which is true, this one. Okay, and now we have to take the function and add the function inside our here, and our function will only work if anyone click on our hamburger icon. So we have to add on click, and it will be this dot our function name, which is handle click. Now if I click on this icon, here you can see that our hamburger menu is switching with the close icon. If I now click on this close icon, our hamburger menu is switching with the close icon. So this is how our this functions works, our this click events works, and our states works. Okay, so after this one, for our responsive device, we have to arrange our this nav links. So for doing that, let's go to our style sheet, Navbar style, and at the bottom what we will do is we will initialize our media query, and it will be media screen and max width, and the max width will be 850 pixel. So now here you can see that our nav menu is now in one row, but in our small screen device I want our these nav links to be in one column. So that's why let's go to our nav menu, and from here copy these stylings and then paste it here. And here instead of display grid, we are going to use display flex, and the flex direction will be column. Justify content will be flex start, and we don't need our these stylings. Okay, so right now here you can see that our this nav links is not showing properly inside our screen. So what we have to do, we have to change the position of our this nav links. But first I will add a background color, and it will be white. Okay, for now make it green. We will change it later. And here we have to add a width of 100%. Then I will add a height, and height will be auto. Then we have to use position absolute. Then we have to add the top will be 0. Then the left will be 0 as well. Then I will add a opacity of 1. Then align items will be stretched. Then I will add some padding, and the padding from top it will be 80 pixel, from left 0, bottom 30 pixel, from right 0, and the margin will be 0. After this one we have to style our these nav links. So for styling the nav links, simply copy the nav links class name and then paste it here, and it will be display block. Then the width will be 100%. Then I will add a font size of 1.2 rem. Then padding will be 2 rem from top and bottom, and from left and right it will be 0. And I will change the hover effect. That's why copy this one and then paste it here. Then add hover, and I will change the background color, and the background color will be this one. Then transition will be none, and here you can see that we have our this background. After this one we have to style our this button also. So for styling the button, simply copy the button tag and then paste it here. And here what I will do is I will simply hide our this button, and if you remember on the top we have actually one more button here which we have hidden on the large screen, but in our small screen device I will make our this button working. So simply copy this class name and then paste it here. But first we have to hide our this button. So for hiding it we have to use display none. Now we don't have any button. Now I want to make our this button visible, so that's why it will be display block. That's it. Now we have a sign up button. Now we have to style our this button, and here text align will be center. Then I will add a padding, and the padding from everywhere it will be 1.5 rem. Then I will add a margin, and the margin will be auto. Then I will add a border radius, and it will be 4 pixel. Then I will add a width of 80%. Then I will add a different background color, and it will be this one. Then I will remove the underline, so that's why text decoration will be none. Then I will change the color, and it will be white. Then I will add a font size, and it will be 1.2 rem. Then I will add a font weight, and it will be 700. Then I will add a letter spacing, and it will be 2 pixel. That's it. Now we have a button. Now I will simply change the background color of our this menu. So for changing it, here it will be white. That's it. So now what we have to do is, here you can see that we cannot see our hamburger icons and our logo, because our this menu part is actually on the top of our that logo and our icon. So what we have to do, we have to pop up that navbar on the top of our this menu bar. So for doing that, let's go to the top. From here, copy our this class name and then paste it here. And here I will add a z index, and it will be 99. And I will use another z index inside our menu item, and it will be -1. That's it. Now here you can see that our actual navbar is showing on the top of our menu bar. Okay, now what we have to do is, we have to make our this hamburger menu working, because if anyone click on that hamburger icon, then only I want to show our this nav link. So for doing that, what we have to do, simply we have to create a different class name. So I will simply copy the nav menu class name and then paste it here. Then I will add another class name with our this nav menu, and it will be active. And now initially what I want to do is, I want to hide our this complete nav menu section. So for hiding it, here we have a left value. Now we just have to play around with this left value. Right now it is 0, but if I make this -100%, here you can see that our nav menu is completely hidden. Okay, before our left value was 0 and our nav menu is there. Right now it is -100 and our nav menu is hidden. So inside our this active class, what I will do, I will simply change the left value back to 0. Okay, and here our opacity is 1, and I will make it 0, and I will change the opacity inside here, and it will be opacity 1. And I will simply take our z index from here and add it here. That's it. Now here you can see that our this nav menu, which is containing left -100% and opacity 0. That's why our nav menu is not showing. But in our active class, we have our left 0 and opacity 1. And if somehow we can active this class name with our this hamburger icon, so that if anyone click on that hamburger icon, then I want to activate our this class names, and I want to activate our this properties, then only I want to show our this nav links. Okay, so for doing that, we have to do some JavaScript work, and it will be easy for you guys. So for doing that, let's go to our navbar.js, and what you have to do, inside the UL we have a class name which is nav menu. Now I want to make this class name dynamic, so that I can change the class name and I can turn our this class name into this class name. So that's why we have to make our this class name property dynamic. So for doing that, delete our old class name, and here we have to initialize our state. Okay, so that's why again we have to use this state, then clicked, and here we have to use if else. And now suppose our nav menu is hidden. Okay, I want to see the nav menu. So for seeing the nav menu, we have to add our this class name. So copy this class name from here and then paste it here. Okay, now we can see our nav links, but now I want to hide it. So for hiding the nav links, again we have to activate our this class name. So copy this class name and then paste it here. So simple, guys. Now we don't have any nav links. If I click on this hamburger icon, here you can see that our all the nav links is now showing. And if I click on the close icon, our all the nav links is now hidden. But if I click on this hamburger menu, here you can see that our this nav links is kind of break because of class name. Here you can see that we cannot add any dot between our class names inside our JS file. So what I have to do, I will simply remove the dot from the active, and instead of it I will simply add a space. That's it. Now I will click, and here you can see that our all the nav links is now showing. And if I now click again, here you can see that our nav links is now hidden. So our complete navbar is now working. Now what we have to do, we have to just polish our this navbar a little bit. So for doing that, first what we have to do, I want to hide our this hamburger icon and a close icon from our large screen. So for doing that, if I go to here, inside our this hamburger icon, we have a class name which is menu icons. So I will simply copy these menu icons from here and then go to the top, and after our button I will simply add the class name menu icons, and it will be display none. And now here you can see that in our large screen we don't have any hamburger menu or hamburger icon, but I want to show the hamburger menu in our small screen. So what we have to do, we have to copy these class names and go inside our responsive media query and then paste it here, but this time it will be display block. That's it. Now here you can see that our hamburger icon is now showing. Okay, now we have to style our this hamburger icon a little bit. So for styling it, simply copy these menu icons and then paste it here, then target our icons, and here I will add a font size of 1.2 rem. Then I will add a color, and the color will be this one. That's it. Now if I click here, you can see that we have our this beautiful icons. Okay, so guys, here you can see that we have created our navbar successfully, and our navbar is looking good in our large screen device, and in our small screen device we have a hamburger icon. Okay, now in our navbar here you can see that we have a space, because if I go to the top, here you will see in our nav items we have added a width of 95%. It means our navbar is taking 95%, and this is the space of 5% left. Okay, now I want this space to take both of the side equally. So that's why what I have to do, I have to use position, and it will be fixed. Then I will add a top, and it will be 20 pixel. Here you can see that we have a space from the top of 20 pixel. Then I will add a left of 50%. Let's add a transform and a translate, and it will be minus 50%. That's it, guys. Here you can see that we have now equal space from the left side and from the right side. Also we have a space on the top, and in that way our navbar is looking like it is floating on the screen, and this is looking so good. And also by doing this we are making our navbar static. It means our navbar will be always on the top and it will not hide under the screen. Okay, now we will use one more thing. I will use z index, and I will add a higher value, because I want our this navbar always on the top. Okay, so that's why I will use a z index of higher value. Now if I go on our hamburger icon, here you can see that we don't have any hand icon, so I want to add a hand icon. So that's why I go to the bottom, and here I will use a cursor pointer, and now I have a hand icon. And if I click on this icon, here you can see that our all the nav links is actually sliding from the left side, but we are not seeing the transition. I want a smooth transition. So for doing that, let's go to the top here in our nav active, and here I will use a transition, and it will be 0.3 second is in out. Okay, so let's add this transition here also. That's it. Now if I click, okay, here you can see that we have a smooth closing, and we have a smooth entry also. Okay, now if I click here, you can see that on the top left of our this here you can see that we have a, curve, we have a border radius. But if I click on this hamburger menu, here you can see that our that border radius is gone. So what we have to do is we have to add a border radius here, and it will be 13 pixel. Now if I click here, you can see that we have the same border radius here also. Okay, so here you can see that we have successfully created our navbar, and using React.js we have created our navbar. We have made our navbar responsive as well, and this navbar is completely dynamic. We have made this navbar dynamic using React.js, and this navbar is looking good in our small screen device and in our large screen device as well. Okay guys, we have successfully created our navbar, and after creating our navbar, what we have to do here, you can see that we have our home, about, service, contact. So we have to create 4 different pages, and right now in our screen we are just seeing a component which is a navbar component. Now we have to create pages, and inside the pages we have to add components like this. Okay, we have to add components like navbar. So for creating pages, let's go to the folder structure, and here inside our source folder I have to create a new directory, and it will be routes, and inside these routes we will store all of the pages. So first we have to create home page, so that's why simply create a new file, and it will be home.js. After our home page we have to create another page, and it will be service.js. Then we have to create another page, and it will be about.js. Then we have to create another page, and it will be contact.js. So guys, we have created our all the pages. Now what we have to do, first let's go to our home page. So this is our home page, and inside our home page, first of all we have to create a home function. So let's create a function. Then the function name will be the page name, which is home. Also I want our this home page to be exportable, so that's why we have to use export default and the page name, which is home, or the function name. And inside our this function we have to create return, and inside our return we have to create everything. Okay, so first what I will do, I will create an empty fragment like this. In React it is called empty fragment. You can use it, or if you don't want to use it then it's okay also, but you have to use it whenever you have multiple components inside your return. Then you have to use this kind of empty fragment, or if you want you can create a div also, but I will create an empty fragment. Okay, so what I will do is I will simply copy this function and export. Then I will go to our another page. Let's go to our about page and paste the function here. So we have to change the function name, and it will be about. That's it. Let's go to our service and paste the function, change the function name, and it will be service. Then let's go to our contact page, paste the function, then change the function name, and it will be contact. That's it. Let's go to our home page, and inside our function I will create a h1, and the h1 will be this is home. So I will simply copy this h1 and then paste it inside our about, and it will be about, and I paste it inside our service and it will be service, then paste it inside our contact and it will be contact. That's it. Okay, so now here you can see that in our home section, in our home page, we have h1, but we cannot see the h1 inside our screen, because in our screen we are just seeing a component, a Navbar component. So what we have to do, we have to call our this function, our home function, inside our app.js file. Because if I go to our app.js file, here you can see that we have a component Navbar. So our this Navbar component is now showing inside our screen. Okay, and if we want to show our this h1, it means our home page, then we have to call our this home page inside our app.js file. Okay, suppose if I add our home component here, and here you can see that I have a auto import suggestion. So I will simply click on this and close the component, and here you can see that our home is automatically imported on the top. And if the auto import or auto suggestion is not working for you, then you have to write this line of code manually. Okay, and here you can see that on the screen, now you can see this is home. So right now we have our Navbar, and the Navbar is showing here, and then we have our home component, and our home component is showing here. This is so easy, guys. Okay, so after creating our pages, now what I want to do is, if I click on our this home link or home nav link, then I want to go to our home page. And if I click on our about page, then I want to go to about page. If I click on service and the contact, then I want to visit these pages also. So for doing that, we have to make our these nav links working. It means we have to put some URL inside our these nav links. Okay, so that if anyone click on that nav link, they can visit that URL. So for doing that, let's go to our here, and here in our app.js file, we are going to use React router DOM. Okay, so for doing that, after our return, we have a div, and inside our div, I will create the React router DOM component. Okay, and from our React router DOM, first of all, we will use routes, and then we will use route. Okay, so first we have to use routes. So that's why let's create routes, and here you can see that it is automatically showing because we have imported the routes earlier in our tutorial. So that's why let's click this one and then close the routes, and inside our routes I'm going to use route. Okay, so let's call our route, and here we can also see the suggestion. So I will simply click on route, and here you can see that route is automatically imported on the top. Okay, then close it. Now you have to remember, route is actually a self-closing tag. That's it. And if I go to our website, if I close the error, and if I go to our website, right now we are in our home page. If I click on our about, here you can see that we have a different page, and service and contact. So here you can see that we are actually switching the pages from one to another. Okay, so you can either call it switching or routing. Okay, so here you can see that we have a component which is route. So now what I am going to do, I am going to create a different route for different pages. Okay, that's why let's go here inside our route, and inside our first route I'm going to put our home page. Okay, so that's why we have to use a element component. That's it. And inside the element I will take our this home and add it here. That's it. Now also what we have to do is, for a specific page we have to define a specific URL. Okay, now if you remember, if we go to our menu items.js, here you can see that we have already created our these nav links, and for each specific nav link we have added some URL. Okay, for home it is only slash, for about the URL is about slash, for service the URL is slash service, for contact the URL is slash contact. So we have to use these URLs inside our app.js. Okay, so for our home we have to add a URL, and for adding the URL we have to add another property which is path, and for our home our URL is only a slash. That's it. So after adding our home, I will simply add other pages as well. So that's why copy and then paste it 3 more times. And here it will be about, and the URL will be also about slash about, and this one will be service, and the URL will be also slash service. This one will be contact, and the URL will be slash contact. And here you can see that we have some errors because we have added these components, but these pages are never imported on the top. So like we have imported our home page on the top, we have to import others pages also. So that's why paste it 3 more times. Okay, so now here it will be about, and also we have to change the name, and it will be also about. Then it will be service, also change the name, and it will be service. And here it will be contact, change the name also, and it will be contact. That's it. Okay guys, so we have added React router DOM, and from React router DOM we have used route and routes. Now one more thing we have to use if we are using React router DOM, and it will be link. And if I go to our components, and if I open our navbar.js, here you can see that here we have added anchor tag. First we have used link, but I have used anchor tag because so that we can understand the fundamentals. But now I will change it and it will be link. So that's why select this one and this one, and it will be link. And if we are using link, then it will not be href, it will be to. And right now we have to make our this to property dynamic. It means it will take the URLs from inside here. So that's why let's go to our navbar, and here we have to make these two as dynamic properties. So let's call our item dot, then we have to take the URL. That's it. And still we are having an error. I don't know why I'm getting this error. Now let's go to our app.js. Okay, let's close our this about, service, contact, and the menu items. That's it. Let's go to our app.js file. Okay guys, so after creating our all of this, we are getting an error, and this error is basically if we go to our folder and if I open our index.js file, and here inside our index.js file we can see strict mode. So what we have to do is we have to remove this strict mode, and instead of using strict mode I'm going to use browser router, and it is another properties from React router DOM. And after adding this property, then I think we will solve our this error. So for using browser router, what we have to do here, instead of strict mode, let's add browser router, and here you can see that it is automatically imported on the top. And that's it guys, boom, now we can see our home page and our this navbar. Now I hope you guys understood. If you want to use React router DOM, then you have to follow these changes. It means first of all you have to use browser router, okay, then you have to use link, then you have to use routes, and then route. Okay guys, now here you can see that we have successfully removed all of the errors, and from here I don't need our this strict mode anymore. That's it. Now save our index file and then close it. Okay, now here you can see that on the screen we have our home page. Now I want to see if our other links is working or not. If I click about, here you can see that now we have this is about, and our URL is also changing. Before it was only slash. If I zoom, here you can see that right now it is only slash, and if I click on about, here you can see that we have a slash about URL, and our this page is also changing. And if I click on service, here you can see that this is service, and we have a slash service. And if I click our this contact, here you can see that this is contact, and then we have a slash contact. So now we can say that our pages is now routing through our this navbar, and we can easily navigate our pages using this navbar. Okay, so that's it guys, we have successfully routing all the pages. Okay, now we have to start styling our pages one by one. First of all, we have to style our home page. So for styling our home page, let's go to inside our home page, and now we can simply close our this navbar. That's it, and close our navbar styles. And if I go to our app.js file, here you can see that after routes we have our component navbar, and I don't want our this navbar out of our routes, and I don't want our this navbar to use here in our app.js file. So what I will do is I will simply import this component inside our all the pages. Okay, now if I remove our this component from here, here you can see that from the screen we cannot see our navbar anymore. Okay, so what I will do is I will simply remove this one from here also. Now what I will do inside our home, I will import our navbar on the top. So that's why paste the navbar component, and after adding the component we have to also import the component. So that's why let's add import navbar from double dot slash then components slash then navbar. And now here you can see that inside our home page we have our navbar, and we have to do the same for other pages as well. But right now we have to start creating our home page. And if I go to our home, here you can see that we have a beautiful hero section. So here we have one kind of hero section. Inside our about page we have another hero section, and inside our service and inside our contact as well. And here in all the pages I am actually using the same hero section, this one, but in different pages what I am doing, I am adding different properties so that I can customize that hero section according to myself. Okay, so for customizing the same hero section inside different pages, you have to make our this hero section, our this main hero section into a dynamic component. Okay, and after creating the dynamic component, then we can use this component inside different pages and we can customize it according to our needs. So first we have to create our this component, our this hero component. So for creating a new component, let's go to our code editor and then open our folder, and inside our component I will create a new file and it will be hero.js. Then for styling the hero we have to create a style sheet, separate a style sheet. So let's create another file and it will be hero styles.css. That's it. Now let's go to our hero. First of all we have to add a function. So I will simply copy this function from here and then paste it here, and I will remove this one. Then also you have to change the function name and it will be only hero. That's it. And we have to add the style sheet also, so that's why let's import hero styles.css. That's it. Okay, so first of all what I am going to do, I am going to create a div tag. Then we have to add a class name and the class name will be hero, and here I will add our background image. So that's why let's create an image tag. And in React, if you are using an image tag, then you have to add a alt tag also, and you cannot keep this alt tag empty. So here I will simply add hero image. That's it. Then we have to add the source. It means we have to add an image inside our this image tag. So that's why let's add source. And if I go to our website, here you can see that we have a background image, and in my folder I have some images. Here you can see that we have all these images, and I'm going to use these images inside our this website. So what I have to do is I will simply go to our folder source. I will create a new folder and it will be assets. That's it. And inside our this assets folder, I'm going to store all of our images. And by the way, I'm going to provide all of the link of these images in the description. You can find all of these images in my description. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply take all of the images, select all of the images using Ctrl A, and then drag these images and then drop it inside my assets folder. And here you can see that all the images is now uploading inside my browser, and here is all the images. Okay, so now for our background image, you can take any images from here, but if you want, you can add images from outside of your folder also. Suppose if you want to take an image from internet, and for free images, I'm going to search for unsplash.com, and here you can search for anything. So I will simply search by nature, and from here you can take any images. Suppose if you want to take this image, so what you have to do, you have to simply click on that image and then click right, and then from here you have to take the copy image address, and then you have to add that link inside your source property. That's it. But right now we cannot see anything inside our page, inside our website. It is because we are changing all of these things inside a hero component, but this is a home page, so we have to add our this component inside our home page. So that's why here you can see that instead of h1, I will simply add our component, which is hero component. So let's add hero, and I have auto import suggestion. That's it guys. Here you can see that we have our beautiful image, and here we have our navbar and our hero component. So we have two components inside our home page, and both of these component is now showing inside our website. Now let's go to our hero. That's it. Now in our home page we have used an external image, and in our other pages I will show you how to use images from inside your folder. Okay, so now after this one, what I have to do, I have to create some text. So for that one, after our hero image, I will create a div tag. Then also I have to add a class name, and the class name will be hero text, and here I will create a h1, and for our h1 our heading will be this one, your journey, your story. Then let's create a paragraph, and the paragraph will be this one. Then we have to create an anchor tag for our this button. So let's create an anchor tag, and here we have to add a href. Right now I will just simply add a slash, and here our button name will be travel plan. And if I scroll down, here you can see that all the text and a button is now showing underneath of our this screen. Okay, now here is one more thing. Here you can see that our navbar color is now changing according to our image color, because we didn't define any color for our navbar. So first we have to do that. So for adding that, let's go to our component and our navbar styles, and here you can see that in our navbar items I have to add a background color, and it will be white. That's it. Now here you can see that we have a white background. Now close it and then go to our hero. Okay, so before I style it, I want to make this complete hero section dynamic, because I'm going to use this same hero section inside our other pages as well. So that's why let's make our this hero component dynamic. So for making our this hero component dynamic, what we have to do is, inside our hero function we have to add one property, which is props. Yes, we are going to use props, and for using props inside our this parameter we have to pass it, which is props. And now it is time to make our this hero section dynamic. First, here you can see that we have a div tag, and we have a class name here, and I'm going to make our this class name dynamic, because I'm going to change this class name inside different pages. So that's why I have to make this class name dynamic. So for making it dynamic, what I have to do is simply add curly braces, and here I will use props dot. Then for making our this class name dynamic, we have to add a variable, so that each time in different pages, if I want to change the class name, I will target the variable name and then I will add a different value for the variable name. Okay, so the variable name will be cname. You can add any name here. Okay, so after our class name, what I want to do, I want to make our this source property also dynamic. I'm going to use different images for different pages, so that's why we have to make our this source property also dynamic. Okay, so for doing that, simply take out the image URL from here and then make it dynamic. And here again I'm going to use props. Then I have to take a variable and it will be hero image. That's it. After our image section, here you can see that we have some h1, paragraph and button. I want to make our this properties also dynamic. And first I'm going to make our this h1 dynamic. So that's why simply remove it and then add parenthesis and then add curly braces, and here we have to add props dot. Then we have to add a variable name which will be title, and we have to do the same for our this paragraph, and this time the variable name will be text. That's it. We will also make our this button dynamic as well, but we will do that later. Now let's go to our home page. And inside our home page, here you can see that we have our hero component, which is this one. Now what I will do is, I will set all the properties, all the images, all the text from inside our this hero component. So for doing that, let me show you. Let's go to our hero component. First of all, what I'm going to do, if I go to our hero, here you can see that we have our first dynamic property, which is the class name. So I will simply take the variable name and then paste it here. Then I will add a class name. Then I will put some values inside these variables. Okay, and the values can be anything, and we can change the cname in different pages. Okay, so the class name will be hero. Then we have to change our image. Here you can see that we have our another dynamic property, which is hero image. So let me take the hero image property and then paste it here. And here I will add the image source link, this one. That's it. And boom, here you can see that now our image is now back again. Okay, after our hero image, now we don't have any text here, we don't have any heading. Now we have to take the heading variable from here, which is title, and here I will add the title, and our title will be this one. So copy this one and then paste it here, and if I scroll down, here you can see that boom, we have our h1. After our h1, we have to take our this text variable and then add it here, and the text will be this one. That's it. Now here you can see that after our heading, we have our text as well. And I hope you guys are understanding what I am trying to do. In our hero section, this is a component, and I want to make this hero component as dynamic so that I can control all the properties outside of this hero section, outside of this hero component, like I am doing inside our home page. Okay, so after our heading and our this text, now I want to make our this button dynamic as well. So for doing that, let's go to our hero, and what we have to do, here you can see that we have a href, and I want to make our this URL section also dynamic. So for doing that, let's add curly braces, and here we have to add props dot, and it will be URL. That's it. So after our URL, now I want to add a class name here, and I will make this class name also dynamic. Okay, let's add props dot, and the variable name will be button class. That's it. Now here you can see that this is our button name, which is showing here. Now I want to make our this button name also dynamic. So for doing that, remove the button name and add parenthesis, then props, then add a variable, and the variable will be button text. That's it. Now I will simply control all of these properties from inside our home.js. Okay. So after our text, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the button name. So for adding the button name, we have to take the button text variable from here and then paste it here. And the button name will be travel plan. That's it. And here you can see that we have our button name. Okay. After our button name, we have to add the URL also for this button. So that's why take the URL variable and the URL will be simply slash for now. After our URL, then we have to take the class name also for this button, and the class name is button class. This is a variable for the class name. I will add the class name here, and the class name will be show. Okay, that's it. So guys, here you can see that we have successfully made our this hero component as a dynamic component, and we can control this dynamic component from different pages like I'm doing from inside our home page. Okay, that's it. Now let's style our this dynamic hero component. So for styling, let's go to our hero style. First of all, I will take the class name from here, which is hero, and then paste it here. First I will add some basic width, which is 100%. Then I will add a height, and it will be also 100%. Then I will use a position relative. That's it. After this one, here you can see that in our website we have a scroll bar at the bottom because our this image is not responsive. So we have to make this image responsive. So for doing that, we have to simply add the width and height. That's it. Now here you can see that we do not have any scroll bar at the bottom. It means our image is now responsive. See? That's it. Now let's add another property, and it will be object feed cover. After this one, here you can see that our all the text and button is now underneath of our this image, but I want to take this text and position it in the center of our screen of our this image. So for doing that, let's go to our hero, and inside our this div tag we have our all the title, our text and button. So I will simply take our this class name from here and then add it here. Now let's add position absolute. Then I will use top. It will be 55%. Then I will use left, and it will be 50%. Then I will use transform, and it will be translate, and here it will be minus 50%, comma minus 50%. Now here you can see that all the text is now in the center. After this one, I will add a width, and our width will be 100%. That's it. Now let's style our this text. So for styling it, simply copy the class name and then paste it here. Then target our h1, and here I will add a font size of 3 rem. Then I will add a font width of 800. Then I will add a color, and the color will be white. Then I want to add some box shadow underneath of our this text. So that's why we have to add a WebKit background clip, and here it will be text. Then I will use another WebKit, and it will be text fill color, and it will be transparent. Okay, now it is gone, but it is here actually, but we cannot see it because here it will be not color, it will be background. That's it. Now here you can see that we have our heading back. Okay, after all this one, we have to style our this text. So for styling it, copy this one, then paste it here, then target our paragraph. Font size will be 1.3 rem. Then here it will be color, and I don't need any font width and any kind of WebKit. And here I will add some padding. Padding from top it will be 0.5 rem, from left 0, from bottom 2 rem, from right 0. After this one, let's style our this button. So by styling the button, copy this hero text class, and if I go to our home.js, here you can see that we have a button class name which is show. So copy this class name and then paste it here. First of all, I will remove the underline, so that's why text decoration will be none. Then I will add a background color and it will be white. Then I will add some padding. Padding from top and bottom will be 1 rem. From left and right it will be 2 rem. Then I will add some border radius and it will be 6 pixel. Then I will add a font size of 1.1 rem. Then I will add a font weight and it will be bold. Then I will add a letter spacing and it will be 2 pixel. I will change the text color and it will be black. That's it. So guys, here you can see that we have our hero image and then we have our heading, our this text and our this button. In our large screen it is looking good, but in our small screen I want to make this thing more smaller, so that's why we have to add media query. Let's add media screen and max width and it will be 555 pixel. First of all, I will target our this H1 and here the padding will be 10 pixel from top and bottom, then 20 pixel from left and right. Then I will target the paragraph and here the font size will be 1.1 rem and I will change the padding. From top it will be 0, from left 0, from bottom 2 rem, from right 0. Then I will change the button size also, so simply copy this class name then paste it here. And from here I don't need the text decoration and then button, font weight and the color and the letter spacing. So the font size will be 1 rem and the padding will be 0.6 rem from top and bottom and 1.1 rem from left and right. I don't know if our this responsive thing is working or not. Okay, here you can see that if I increase the size, our this image is also taking all the space from the height section. So what we have to do, we have to fix it. Here you can see that we have a height of 100%, so I will make it 100 VH. That's it. Okay guys, here you can see that our media screen is also working. If I decrease the size, here you can see that our button is kind of changing its width and height. So now we can say that our this media query is also working. So for checking the media query, let's add another thing which is background, and let's add a background red. And if I decrease the size, here you can see that our background color is now red, and if I increase it and if our screen size goes up to 555 pixel, then it is turning into white, and if I decrease the size it is red. Okay, so this is so fun guys. Okay, so now we can say that our media query is working. So guys, here you can see that we have successfully created our hero section, and also we have made our this hero section, our this hero component dynamic. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same hero component inside our about page and inside our other pages as well. Okay, so now let's go to our folder, and from inside our routes I will open our about. That's it. And if I go to our about page, here you can see that we don't have any navbar, but we have this text which is this one. So first of all, I will add the navbar. So for adding the navbar, let's go to our home. From here, copy this navbar and hero components from here and then paste it here. Then also we have to import these things on the top. So copy this, import and then paste it here. Okay, I think we have to remove this one. That's it. So now here you can see that we are now inside our about page, and inside our about page we have our this navbar and our hero properties. So our navbar is okay, but for our about page we have to create a different hero section. Let's go to our React app, and if I go to our about, here you can see that this is our about. So we have to create this kind of about. I only need our this heading. I don't need our this text and our this button. So now we have to make these changes inside our about. So for making these changes, here we have a class name hero, and here what I will do is, okay, first let's change the image. Okay, here you can see that we have added an external source for the image, but now this time for our about page I'm going to use an image from my folder. So that's why open the folder, and here we have our assets, and for our about I will use our this image. So the image name is night.jpg. Okay, so here it will be night.jpg for our hero image. But what I will do is I will create a name, a variable name for that image. Let me show you. Here I will use import, and then I will create a variable name for the image, and the variable name will be about image. Then we have to add the destination for the image, and it will be assets slash night.jpg. That's it. And then now for the hero image source, you just have to use this variable name. Simply copy this, and here you have to add curly braces and then paste it here. That's it. Boom. Here you can see that now you have different images. Okay, and now if you want to change the image of this background in future, so what you have to do is you just have to change the URL of that image. Okay, you do not have to change anything from inside the code. You just have to change the image from here. Suppose if I want to give the one.jpg file, here you can see that we have now different image. If I use 2.jpg, here you can see that we have a different image. So what you have to do, if you want to change the image, just to go to here and add the different image URL or a different image name. Okay, and here I will keep the night. That's it. And if I go to our website, here you can see that the height of this hero section and the height of this home hero section is not same. Okay, this is taking 100%, 100 VH height, but this is taking less. Okay, and now for doing that inside our here also, what we have to do, we have to change the class name. Right now it is hero, and this hero class name is coming from our this hero style. Here you can see that this hero styling is taking here. So for changing the styling, what you have to do, you have to create a new class name. Let's add a different class name, so like hero dash mid. Okay, and here I will use this one, but I will simply decrease the height, and it will be 70 VH. That's it. Now for decreasing the height of this image, what you have to do, you have to simply copy this class name from here and then go to your about, and then here instead of hero you have to add that class name. That's it guys. Boom. Here you can see that now your hero image height is smaller than the main one. Okay. Okay. Now I don't want our this text and our this button inside our here. So for removing the text, what you have to do, just select the text variable and the text data from inside our about and then remove it. And here you can see that now you don't have any text here. Now I will simply do the same for, I will simply remove the button text and the URL, but still I am having our this button, but it is okay. We can change the button name from here. So I want to hide the button. So for hiding the button, let's go to our hero CSS, and here you can see that we have our hero show. This is our button. So simply what I will do, I will simply copy this one and then paste it here, and I will change the class name and it will be hide, and here I will use display none. Now I will simply copy this hide class name and add it inside our about button class name. That's it guys. Now your button is also removed from your website. Okay, now here you can see that our this heading is taking too much space from the top. So I want to adjust the heading from the top as well. So for doing that, what we have to do, let's go to our style sheet. And if I go to the top, here you can see that for our h1 we have our this settings. So I will simply copy this h1, and then after our hero mid I will simply paste the h1. But here what I will do, instead of our hero text class name, I will add our this class name, which is hero mid. That's it. And here what I will do, I will add some padding from the top, and it will be 4 rem. But right now here you can see that our padding top is not working because we already have h1 here. Now we have to override our this previous h1 here. So for overriding the variables, the properties, we have to add important. Okay, now here you can see that our hero mid is not working for some reason. Okay, let's keep it like this for now. Let's go to our about, and I will change the title, and it will be about. That's it. Okay guys, now here you can see that I think I have found the error. Here you can see that our hero mid h1 and our this classes is not working because here I have added a dot before our class name. We don't have to add any dot inside our variable, so I will simply remove the dot, and boom, here you can see that all the things is now in the right place. Now here you can see that our hero section of this about is smaller than the home page. Here you can see that we have a 100 vh of height of this hero, and inside our about we have a smaller hero section. Okay, so yes, our this one is working. Now we have to do the same for our other pages also. So for doing that, first of all, remove the home and our hero css and our hero. That's it. Now let's open our folder, and from here open our contact page and service page. Okay, now let's go to our about, and from here I will simply copy these two component. First let's go to our service page, and then go to our service file, and then paste the component here. Also we have to import the component, so that's why we have to copy these three and then paste it here. And here the title will be service. That's it. Now let's go to our contact page, and here we have to go to our contact file, then add the imports, and then take our these two component, then paste it here. And here the title will be contact, and for our contact page I will add a different background image. So as I said earlier, for changing the images we just have to go to here and add the image name. So the image will be 2.jpg, and here you can see that we have a different image for our contact. So guys, here you can see that we have created our all the hero sections. Inside our home we have a hero, we have created the hero for our about, service and contact. And guys, now we have learned how to use dynamic properties inside different pages. Here you have seen that we have created our this component, just one single component, this hero component, and we have used this hero component in our all the pages. And we have also learned how to use dynamic properties and how to change and control them from different pages. Okay, so guys, we have successfully created our hero sections for all of the pages. So now let's go to our home page, and then we have to create the rest of the components. Okay guys, after successfully creating our navbar and our this hero section, now we have to create our rest of the components like our popular destination, we are going to create our this popular destination inside our this project. And basically we are going to create a component for our this home page, and we can use this component in every other pages as well. So that's why I'm going to use a component. So for creating a component, let's go to our folder, and here what we have to do is just click right and then create file. And now we are going to create a component, and the component name will be destination.js, and then we have to style the destination.js. So that's why we have to create a style sheet for our this destination.js, and it will be destination styles.css. That's it. And guys, we have created our destination.js and the destination styles.css. Now we have to start creating our destination. So for creating our destination, first of all, you have to create a function. So let's create a const, and the function name will be the file name, which is destination. Then we have to create a arrow function. Then we have to return it, and after returning we have to also export this destination component. So that's why we have to add export default and the function name, which is destination. That's it. And inside our this return, first of all, we have to create a div tag, and then we have to add a class name, and the class name for our this div tag will be destination. And inside our destination, first of all, we have to create a h1 for our heading. If I go to our website, here you can see that we have a heading which is popular destination. So simply copy this heading and then paste it here. Then we have to create a paragraph tag for our this small text. So copy this text and then paste it here. That's it. Now here you can see that inside our home page we cannot see anything because this is just a component. We have to import this component inside our home page. So that's why let's go to our folder, and from our routes let's open our home.js. That's it. And here you can see that we have our navbar and our hero section, and that's why we are now seeing navbar and our hero section. Now if we want to see the destination component also, and for that we have to import the destination component. So that's why it will be destination, and here you can see that I have a auto import suggestion. So I will simply type enter, and here you can see that the destination is now imported on the top. And if the auto import is not working for you, then you have to write this line of code manually. Okay. And if I scroll down, here you can see that we have our popular destination and our this text. And now we can see our popular destination inside our home page because of our destination component inside our home.js file. Okay. So after this, I will simply close our home.js and I will go back inside our destination.js. After this one, now we have to start creating our popular destination. So inside our this div tag, what I will do is I will create a div tag, and the class name of this div tag will be first description. And then I will create another div tag, and the class name of this div tag will be description text. And for our this description text, if I go to our website, here you can see that we have a heading and then we have our this text. So we have to first create our this heading and then we have to add our this text. So that's why I copy the heading from here, and here we have to create a h2. That's it. And then paste the heading here, and then we have to create a paragraph, and for the paragraph I will take the text from here and then paste it here. That's it. And guys, here you can see that we have our heading and our this text. So after our heading and our text, we have to add our these images. So for adding the images, let's go to our here, and here I will create another div tag, and the class name of this div tag will be image. And inside our this image, I'm going to add two different image, these two. So for adding these images, I will add an image tag, And if we are using image tag inside our React project, then I will suggest you to add a alt attribute also. So let's add a alt, and a alt can be anything. Okay, I will just add image, and then I will add the source of the image, and I'm going to add the images from inside our this assets folder. Here you can see that we have some images, and I'm going to use these images. So for adding a image, first of all you have to import that image on the top. So that's why let's go to the top, and here we have to add import, and now we have to set a name for our that image, that particular image. I'm going to use multiple images here, and you can add multiple names for those images. So for the first image I'm going to add a name, and the name will be mountain 1 from. Then we have to add the path of the image, and the path will be double dot slash assets slash 1.jpg. That's it. Now I will simply copy this line and then paste it 3 more times, and it will be mountain 2, mountain 3, and mountain 4, and the images will be also 2, 3, and 4. And now inside our this file we can use our these images. Okay, so I will simply copy this image name, which is mountain 1, and I'm going to use this particular image. So for adding the images, let's go to our source, and here we have to add curly braces, and we have to add the image name. That's it. And here you can see that we have our this image. Okay, so like this one I'm going to add another image here. So simply copy this and then paste it here, and here you can see that we have now 2 images. Okay, but here now I'm going to use mountain 2. That's it. Now here you can see that we have 2 different images inside our website. Okay, now let's style our this section. So for styling the section, let's go to our top, and from here I will simply copy this destination class name and then paste it here. First of all, I will add some margin because we don't have any space around our this component, so that's why I will add a margin. And the margin from top and bottom will be 4 rem, and from left and right it will be 6 rem. And guys, here you can see that our styling is not working because we didn't import our this style sheet inside our this destination file. So that's why we have to first import our style sheet here. And for adding the style sheet, it will be dot slash destination styles dot css. And here you can see that now we have our margin, and here you can see that now we have our margin around our this component. Okay, so now our styling is working. Let's go to our style sheet, and here I will again add our destination class, and this time I will target our h1, and here I will add a font size, and the font size will be 3 rem. Then I will take our this description, first description, and then paste it here. And here you can see that our this section and our this image section is now in one column. If I increase the screen size, here you can see that they are now in one column, but I want them in one row. So that's why I'm going to use display flex here. Let's add display flex, then align items will be center, then justify content will be a space between, and then I will add some margin top, and the margin top will be 4.5 rem. That's it. Now here you can see that our this section is now in one row. Okay, after this one, let's style our this text. So for styling the text, here you can see that we have a class name description text. So simply copy this description text, and here I will add a width of 45%, and then I will add text align, and it will be start. Then I will add a font size of 1.1 rem. After this one, let's target our h2, and here I will add some padding bottom, and it will be 1 rem. That's it. After this one, now we have to style our this image section. So that's why we have to take the class name image and then paste it here. And now if I go to our website, here you can see that we have styled our these images in some creative way. So for creating this kind of layout, we have to do something different. So here what I will do is I will use position relative and the width will be 50%. Then I will use display flex because I want both of the image in one row like this. And then I will use justify content and it will be a space between. Then I will use the index and it will be -99. That's it. After this one, let's target our images. So now here you can see that our this images is now taking the original height and width of that particular image, but I want to set some custom width and height. So that's why I'm going to use a width of 49%, and then I will use a height also, and the height will be 350 pixel like this. And then I will use object fit and it will be cover. Then I will use border radius and it will be 6 pixel. Then I will use some box shadow, so that's why let's add box shadow. And from X it will be -1 pixel, from Y it will be 1 pixel, the radius will be 62 pixel, and then I will add a -18 pixel of RGBA. And here the color will be 0, 0, 0 and 0.19. That's it. I just wanted to add a small box shadow. Okay, so now here you can see that these two images is now in one row, and they are now in the same line here. Here you can see that. But now what I want to do is I want our this image to be a little bit on the top here. So for doing that, what we have to do is simply copy our this image and the class name and then paste it here. Then I want to target our second image, so that's why I'm going to use nth child and it will be 2. And for our this image, only our this particular image, I'm going to use position absolute, and then I'm going to use stop -10%. Then I'm going to use right 0. That's it. Now here you can see that our second image is now on the top, a little bit on the top here, and this kind of layout is looking nice in our website. Okay, so now after creating our this content, now we have to make our this component responsive for our small screen device. So that's why we have to add media query. Let's initialize media screen, and we have to add a max width, and the max width will be 850 pixel. And for our small screen, first of all I will decrease the space around our this component, copy our this destination classes and the style sheets, and here the margin from top and bottom will be 4 rem, but from the left and right it will be 2 rem like this. After this one, let's target our first description. Here you can see that right now our this class name is having display flags, and that's why they are now in one row, but I want them in one column, both of this section in a small screen device. So that's why we have to make these changes inside our media query. And here after our display flags, I will use flags direction and it will be column, and here you can see that they are now in one column. Okay, and here you can see that if we use flags direction column, then on the top we have our text, and at the last we have our this image. But in our small screen device, I want the position in reverse. It means I want the images on the top and this text under our this image. So what I have to do is I will simply change one small thing here, and instead of column it will be column reverse. And here you can see that now we have our images, and at the bottom we have our this text. Okay, and I don't want our these things here, and the margin top will be 2.5 rem. That's it. And now here you can see that our this text is now taking only 45%, but I want this text to be taking 100% of width for our small screen device. So that's why let's target our this text, and here I will add a width of 100% like that, and then I will do the same for our this image section. Let's take the image class, and here I will add a width of 100%. That's it. After this one I will add a margin, and the margin from top and bottom will be 1.8 rem, and from left and right it will be 0. After this one, in our small screen device I want to change the height of our these images, so that's why copy this class name here and target our image, and here the height will be 250 pixel. So guys, here you can see that in our large screen device our this section is looking good, and this text and our these images is now in one row, but in our small screen device they are taking the complete space, and now our this image section and our this text section is now in one column, and this is looking good, guys. Okay, so now here you can see that we have successfully created our this component, and we have created the component using some simple techniques. But now I want our this component, our popular destination component, to be dynamic also. It means we can handle our this text, and our these images from other file, and now I will do that here. So for doing that, let me go to our folder, and inside our components let's create another file, and the file name will be destination data.js. That's it. And guys, here you can see that now we have another file which is destination data.js, and inside our this file what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function. Basically I'm going to create a class component, and inside that class component I'm going to use props, and using those props we can change all of this text and our these images from other files in case in future we have to change something from our this component. And let me show you how we can do that. So guys, here we have to first import our style sheet. So let's import our style sheet from here. Here you can see that we have style sheet, so simply copy this and then paste it here. After this one we have to create a class component, and the class name will be destination data, and then I want to extend the class component into a component, and here I have a auto import suggestion, so I will simply type enter, and the component is now importing on the top. And here now I will use render, then I will use return. Okay, so inside our return now what I will create a simple template just like we have created inside our destination.js. Here you can see that this is a template. We have our h2 for our this text, we have our paragraph for our this paragraph, we have our images for our these two images. So I'm going to create the same exact structure inside our destination.data, and then what I will do is I will simply pass those data inside our this file. Okay, and inside our return now what I want to do is I don't want to change our this heading and our this text, but I want to change our this image and our this text. Okay, so for doing that what we have to do, we have to go inside our destination.js, and here you can see that we have our heading and our this text, I mean this heading and our this text, but I don't want to change these things, but I want to change our these things. Okay, and this sections is starting from our this div. So what I will do, I will simply copy this complete div like this, and copy and then go to our destination data, and inside our this return I will simply paste the destination data. That's it. And here you can see that we have a red underline because we have used these images but we didn't import those images on the top. So what we have to do, we have to go to the top, and from here I will simply copy all of these import images and then paste it here. That's it. And don't forget to export our this destination data. So that's why let's export default destination data. That's it. Okay, now after doing this I will simply go inside our destination data, and from here I will simply remove our this div tag. That's it. And here you can see that now we don't have any text and our these images. Okay, so for getting back our these images, what I will do is I will simply export our this destination data component inside our this component. Okay, so that's why let's add destination data, and here I have a auto import suggestion, so I'll simply type enter. That's it. And here on the top destination data is imported. Okay, so guys, here you can see that after adding our destination data component, we are having our text and our this heading and our this images. Okay, and our this destination file is getting all this data from inside our destination data.js file. Okay, so now here you can see that we have our this heading and our this text. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make our these sections dynamic. So for doing that, let's go to our destination.js and let's go inside our this component, and for our this heading I will create a heading variable, and the heading will contain our this text. Okay, after our heading I will create a text variable, and our text variable will contain our this text like this. Okay, that's it. Now what I will do is, here you can see that from inside our destination data we have two variables, one is heading and the another one is text. Now we can use our these two variable inside our this destination data.js file. Okay, here you can see that we have our heading. Now instead of the text I'm going to use the variable here. So for adding the variable I'm going to use props, and for using props I'm going to use add this dot props dot the variable name, which is heading. That's it. And guys, here you can see that we have our this text showing here. Okay, and here you can see that we have a paragraph, but instead of the paragraph text I'm going to use the variable. So for using the variable we have to add curly braces and add this dot props dot, and we have to add the variable name, which is text. That's it. Now here you can see that we have our heading and our this text, and like our this heading and our this text, we can make our these two images also dynamic. So for doing that, what I'm going to do is simply go inside our destination.js, and here we have to create another variable for our this image. So let's take a variable, and the variable name will be image1, and here we have to add the image name, which is our this mountain1. So simply copy this mountain1 and then paste it here, copy this one and then paste it here for our image2. So for our image2 it will be mountain2, and now we can use our this image1 and the image2 variable inside our destination data. And what we just have to do is, here we have to add this dot props dot the variable name, which is image1, and we can do the same for our second image. So simply copy this and then paste it here, and it will be image2. That's it. Now let me tell you why I am doing this. We could simply use the old method which we have done earlier, but I am trying to make all of these components dynamic, because in future if you want to change the text or the images from inside your component, then you don't have to go inside your main file and do the changes. Okay, if you are working on a big project, then messing around with the main file the main source code can be risky. So that's why I am creating a separate file for all the data so that we can change the data in future if we need to. Okay, suppose if I want to change something from here, we don't need to go inside our data file, we just have to go inside our destination. And here if I simply remove our this line, and here you can see that we have now changed our text. And changing things inside a component, inside a separate file, it is easier than doing all the changes inside the main file. Okay, so that's why I'm making all the things dynamic as much as possible. Now suppose if you want another section like this, what you just have to simply do is just copy this destination data and then paste it here, and here at the bottom you will find another destination. Now what you just have to do is you just have to simply change the text. So let me change the text for you. Text will be this one. Go inside our file and here change the text like this. And if you want to change the text, simply copy this text and add the text here like this. And if you want to change the images, simply change here mountain 3 and it will be mountain 4 like this. So now here you can see that changing all of these things, all of these images and text is easier inside our here. Okay, suppose if you want to change this image again, so what you have to do is simply go to the image import section, and from here you can change the image path for like it can be 5, and here you can see that now we have a different image. And for our this image it can be 8 instead of 4, and here you can see that we just changed our image in just a few seconds from inside our this file. Okay, now guys, this is so easy, changing things from inside a dynamic component. And now what I will do is here you can see that our this section and our this section is pretty much similar. What I will do is I will simply reverse the position of our this section. It means I want this image section to be in the left side and I want this text section to be in the right side. So for doing that, let's go to our code, and here we have two destination, one is here and another one is here. Now I want to change our this second destination. So for doing that, what I will do is let me go to our destination style, and here you can see that we have a first description class name, and this first description is coming from our here you can see that we have first destination class name. Now what I will do is let me go to here and simply copy these stylings and then paste it here. And now instead of first description it will be first description dash reverse. And now what I will do is I will make our this class name dynamic. So for making the class name dynamic, what we have to do is simply remove the class name and then add curly braces. Then we have to add this dot props dot class name. So class name is basically a variable, so I'm going to take this class name and then go inside our destination.js, and I will add this class name here inside our first destination data, and we have to add the variable name which is class name. That's it. And I will simply copy this class name from here and then paste it here, and here it will be first description dot reverse. And here inside our first description we have our display flags, and inside our first description reverse we have our display flags as well, but I want to change the direction, so that's why it will be flags direction and it will be row reverse. That's it. Now if I go here you can see that our this first section is now in this position, but our second section is now reversed, and this is because we have added this class name for our this here. inside our destination data. And now we have successfully made our class name dynamic as well. And after doing this, now what we have to do, we have to change these class names and the stylings for our reverse inside our media query. And here what we have to do is display will be flex direction will be column reverse like this, and I don't want anything here. That's it. Now here you can see that our this component is now looking good inside our large screen device and in our small screen device as well. And this is basically a component, and we can use this component inside our other pages as well. So guys, here you can see that we have successfully created our popular destination component, and this component is completely dynamic. It means we can change the values from inside different pages. Also we can use this same component inside different pages. Okay, and also we have made our this component responsive. Here you can see that in our small screen device our component is now looking like this, and this is looking so beautiful in our small screen device and in our large screen device as well. Now after creating our popular destination, we have to create our this trip recent trips component, and also we are going to see how we can use this same component inside our service page like this. Here you can see that. Okay guys, after creating our popular destination component, now we have to create our recent trips component, and the components is pretty basic, and it is pretty similar to our previous component. And for creating this component we have to create a heading, and then we have to create a text, and then we have to create 3 different cards. And here you can see that we have some hover effect, we have some heading about the destination, and some text about the place. So this is pretty basic, and I'm going to create this component now. So for creating a new component, what we have to do, just go to the folder, and here inside my components I have to create a new file, and the component name will be trip.js. And for styling our trip we have to create a new style sheet also. So that's why create a new file, and it will be trip styles.css. And you have seen that for creating our destination we have created a data file also. So for creating this component, for creating our trip component, I will create another same data file also, so that I can contain my trip data inside that file, and I can make the component dynamic, so that I can make changes inside the component without touching the structure of component. So that's why I will create another file, and the file name will be trip data.js. That's it. Now from here open the trip.js, trip data, and trip_styles.css. Also we are going to show this trip component inside our home page. So that's why from routes we have to open our home page also. That's it. Now let's go to our trip, and here what we will do is, first of all we have to import our style sheet. So that's why let's import, and the style sheet will be trip styles.css. Then we have to create a trip function. So for creating the function, let's write function trip, and then we have to add return. And inside my return, first of all I will create a div tag, then I have to add a class name, and the class name of this div tag will be trip. And inside this trip I will create our heading, and for our heading I will take the heading from here. Then I will create a paragraph, and the paragraph will be this one. And after creating our function, we have to do one more important thing. We have to export the function, because we are going to use this function, this component inside our home page. So that's why we have to make sure this component is allowing itself to use in home page. So that's why we have to use export default and the function name. That's it. Now inside our home page we cannot see anything. So what we have to do, we have to import our this component inside our home page. So that's why after our destination we have to call our trip component, and here I have a auto import suggestion. So I will simply type enter and close it. And now here you can see that I have our component recent trips and the text is showing here. Okay, now we can start creating our trip component and we can see all the preview inside our home page. Now let's close the home page and let's go our trip. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go inside our tripdata.js, and now I will create the structure of our component. I will create the structure of our card. So that's why let's go inside our tripdata.js, and here first we will import the style sheet like this, and then we have to create a function, and the function name will be trip data, and then we have to add return. And here we have to create a div tag, and the class name of this div tag will be tcard. That's it. And inside our card, what we have to do, if I go to our website, here you can see that this is one card, and inside our card we have an image, we have a heading, and we have some text. So we have three particles inside our this card. So now first of all I have to add our this image. So for adding the image, let's create another div tag, and the class name of this div tag will be t-image. And now I will create an image tag, then I will add a alt attribute, and this will be simple image. That's it. And here I will add the source, our image source. And as I said earlier, this is going to be a dynamic component, so that's why from our card I will make our this image dynamic, I will make our this heading dynamic, and I will make our this text dynamic. So that's why the source will be a dynamic property. It means I'm going to use props, and using props I can create variables so that variables can hold data, and it can be any kind of data. It can be image data, it can be text data also. So that's why I'm going to use props. And first of all, for using props we have to pass the props inside our this function. So that's why let's add props, and now we can use props dot. Now let's create a variable for storing the image inside that variable, and the variable name will be image. That's it. After this one we have a heading inside our card. Let's create a h4, and I will make our this heading also dynamic. So that's why let's use curly braces, and here I will use props dot, and then I will create a variable, and the variable name will be heading. Then I will create a paragraph for our card, and I will make this paragraph also dynamic. So that's why let's add curly braces and pass the props, and here I will create a variable, and it will be text. Now after creating our structure, we have to export the function. So that's why let's create export default, and the function name which is strip data. Okay, so now here you can see that this is basically a structure of card. Here you can see that we have our image, here we have our heading and our paragraph, and our heading and our paragraph is here. So this is basically a structure, and now we will use this same structure for all of these three cards. Okay, that's it. Now let's go inside our trip.js, and now inside our this file I will use our trip data file. So that's why first of all we have to import the trip data. Let's import trip data from ./trip data. Now we can use trip data inside our this function. Let's create a div tag, and here I will create a class name, and the class name of this div will be trip card, and inside our trip card I will use our trip data component. Let's add our trip data, and here now I will use the variables for adding images, headings and text. So first of all I will take the image variable, and here I will use the image, and inside our assets folder I have some images. so I will use those images. Now first of all I will import those images, so that's why let's add import. Then we have to create a name, a variable name, and I'm going to use multiple images here, so that's why I will name our first image as trip1. Then we have to add the path, and it will be double dot slash assets slash 5.jpg. Now I will simply copy this one and then paste it two more times, and here it will be trip 2 and it will be trip 3, and the image will be 8 and 6. That's it. Now we can use these images inside our image property. So I will use the first image, so that's why copy the name and then paste it here. And if I scroll down here, you can see that we have our image showing. So after our image, now we have to import the heading. So let's call the heading variable, and here we have to add the heading, and the heading will be this one. And here you can see that we have our heading. Now let's take the another variable which is text, and for the text, this one will be the text, and here you can see that we have our text. And now here you can see that we have successfully created our first card using our trip data component, and we can create as much as cards by just adding more trip data component here inside this file. Okay, so we have created our first card. Now I will create two more, so that's why I will simply copy this trip data and then paste it two more times, and here you can see that we have now three cards. And now what I will do, I will simply change the images, change the headings, and change the text for other cards. Let's do it. And guys, we have successfully changed all the images, all the heading, and all the text for our cards. So after creating our cards, now we can see that this card component is now dynamic. We can change the images, we can change the headings and the text from here, and we do not have to touch this structure. If we want to change anything in the near future, we just have to go inside trip.js, and from here we can change the informations. And now after creating our dynamic component, let's go to our style sheet, and now let's style it. So for styling, first of all I will take the trip class, and here I will add some margin, and a margin from top and bottom will be 4 rem, and from left and right it will be 6 rem. Then I will add a color, and the color will be this one. Then I will target this h1, so that's why copy this strip and then paste it here, then target our h1, and here I will use the font size as 3 rem. That's it. After this one, if I go to our trip card, here you can see that we have a class name trip card. Now I will take the card and then paste it here. First of all, I will add some space on top of our card, so that's why let's add margin top, and it will be 3 rem. Then I will use display flex because I want all the cards in one row, so that's why display flex, and justify content will be a space between. After this one, now let's start styling this card component. And for styling it, if we go inside our trip data, we will find a class name tcard. Now copy this tcard and paste it here. Then I will set the width of 32%. Then I will use text align, and it will be start. Then I will add some box shadow, and from X it will be 0, from Y it will be 5 pixel, from Z it will be 25 pixel, and the radius will be 2 pixel RGBA, and it will be 0, 0, 0 and 0.11. Then I will add a border radius, and it will be 7 pixel. Then I will use cursor pointer. Then I will add some padding from inside the card, and from top and bottom it will be 1 rem, from left and right it will be 0.8 rem. That's it. After this one, I will target our TImage class. Now copy this class and then paste it here. Here you can see that inside our card, this images is not taking the same width and height, so that's why we have to use custom width and height. Let's add a height of 200 pixel. like this, and I will use overflow hidden. Then I will use border radius, and it will be also 7 pixel. That's it. After this one, let's target our images, and here I will use width of 100%. Then I will use height of 100%. Then I will use transition of 0.3 second is in out, because I'm going to use hover effect on our these images. Also I will use border radius 7 pixel. That's it. Now let's add the hover effect. For adding the hover effect, copy the text, and I will add the hover on our card, so that if anyone hover on our card, then I want to hover our image. So that's why our hover will be inside the card, and the effect will be showing on the image. Okay, I want to transform the image, so that's why we have to use transform, and I will use scale 1.3. Now if I hover here, you can see that we have a scale, and this scale is looking good. Okay, so after this one, let's style our this heading. So we're styling the heading. Copy this T card, then paste it here, then target our H4, and here I will use the font size of 1.3 rem. Then I will use padding, and padding from top it will be 0.9 rem, from left 0, from bottom 0.2 rem, and from right it will be 0. That's it guys, we have successfully added our card component, and our card component is looking good in our large screen device. But for our small screen device, we have to make our card component more attractive. So that's why we have to use media, screen, and we have to add a max width, and it will be 850 pixel. And first of all, what I will do, I will simply decrease the space from left and right for our this component. So that's why let's take the trip, and here I will change the margin, and the margin from top and bottom will be 4 rem, and from left and right it will be 2 rem, like this. And after this one, here you can see that our this cards is now in one row, but in our small screen device I want them in one column. So that's why I will simply copy our this trip card and then paste it here. And here what I will do, I will use flags direction, and it will be column, and here you can see that they are now in one column, and I don't want to change anything from here, so that's why I remove them. After this one, now I want our these cards to take the full space, so that's why let's take the T card class, and here I will use the width of 100% like this, and then I will add some margin bottom, and it will be 1.5 rem, like this. So guys, here you can see that now we have successfully created our trip component, and also we have made our this trip component dynamic, and this trip component is looking good in our large screen device and in our small screen device as well. After our trip component, now we have to create another component, which is our this footer. So for creating the footer, let's go to our code, and from here let's go to our folder, and here we have to create a new component, and the component name will be footer. Let's create a component, and the component name will be footer.js. Then we have to create a style sheet also. Let's create footer as styles.css, and from here let's close our trip, and from here open our footer.js and footer styles. And here inside our footer, what we have to do, we have to import our footer styles. So that's why import dot slash footer styles dot css, and now we have to create the footer function. Let's create const, then footer, then we have to create an arrow function, and here we have to use return, And now here we have to export the component also, so that's why it will be export default and the function name, which is footer. Now let's go inside our return and let's create a div tag, and the class name of this div tag will be footer. Now if I go to our website, here I will divide this footer into two rows. This one will be our upper row and this one will be our lower row. So first let's create our upper row, and for creating our upper row let's create a div tag and let's add a class name also, and the class name will be top. Now simply copy this div tag and paste again, and this div tag is for the lower one, so that's why we have to change the class, and the class will be bottom. That's it. Now let's go inside our top, and now if I go to our React, here you can see that inside our top row we have two columns. One is our logo and our this text, and another column is our this social media icons. So that's why we have to create two div tags for two columns. Let's create the div tag. That's it. Copy this div tag and then paste it one more time. Now let's go inside our first div tag, and here we will create a h1 for our logo, and our logo will be Trippy. Then we have to create a paragraph, and the paragraph will be this one. After our first column, let's go inside our second column, and inside our second column we have to create our these social media icons. So for adding the social media icons, let's create an anchor tag, and here we have to add a href, and for now I will add a slash for the URL. Then we have to create a I tag for the icons. Then we have to add the class name, and the class name for our first icon will be fa dash brands space fa dash Facebook dash square. That's it. Now in our home screen we cannot see anything because this is just a component. We have to now add this component inside our home page, so that's why let's go inside our router and open our home, and after our trip we have to add the footer component, and here I have a auto import. That's it. And here you can see that we have our Trippy, we have our text, and then we have our Facebook icon. Now we can see everything inside our home.js. Now let's go to our footer, and from here I will simply copy this anchor tag and paste it 3 more times like this. And now I will simply change the class names, and it will be Instagram, and this one will be Behance, and this one will be Twitter. That's it. So now our first row, our upper row is done. Now we have to start creating our this row. So for creating our this row, let's go inside our bottom, and here let's create a div tag, and now I will start creating our first column. We have here 4 column. I will start creating our first column. So for our first column we have to create a heading, so that's why let's create a h4, and the heading will be project. Then we have to create an anchor tag, and here we have to add a href, and for now the href will be slash. Then the text will be this one. That's it. I will simply copy this and then paste it 3 more times, and this one will be status, and this one will be license, and this one will be all versions. That's it. So now here you can see that this is our first column. Now I will simply copy this column and then paste it 3 more times. That's it. And now from inside our these columns I will simply change the text and all of these things. That's it guys. Here you can see that we have created our 4 columns, and we have also changed the details of these 4 columns. So after creating our footer, now we have to style the footer. So for styling it, let's go to our footer styles, and here let's call our footer class. Here I will simply add some padding. Padding from top and bottom will be 4 rem, from left and right it will be 6 rem. Then I will change the background color. and it will be black. Then I will change the text colors and it will be white. That's it. Now let's start styling our top class. So copy this top class and then paste it here. So this is the top class, and now I want our this logo and our this social media icons to be in one row. So that's why I will use display flex, align items center, then text align start, justify content space between. Then I will use flex wrap and it will be wrap. Now I will style our these social media icons. So that's why copy the top class and then target our icons. And here I will change the colors and the colors will be white. Then I will use the font size and it will be 2 rem. Then I will use the margin left and it will be 1 rem. That's it. Out of this one I want to add some hover effect. So for adding the hover effect, let's copy this and then paste it here. Then add hover, and if I hover I will change the colors and the colors will be this one. That's it. Here you can see that our hover effect is also working. After styling our top class, let's start styling our this bottom class. So copy this class and then paste it here. First of all I will add some padding top and it will be 2 rem. Then I will use text align and it will be a start. Then I will use display flex and justify content will be a space between. Then I will use flex wrap and it will be wrap. Now here you can see that inside our this div we have some links, and all the links is now in one row, but I want them in one column. So that's why copy this bottom and then paste it here. Then target our div, and here I will use display flex and flex direction will be column. Now here you can see that everything is now in one column. And now I will start styling our heading. So copy this bottom and then target our h4. Here I will use a font size of 1.3 rem like this, and then I will add some padding. And the padding from top it will be 1 rem, from left 0, from bottom 0.8 rem, from right 0. Then I will target our anchor tags. First of all I will remove the underline, so text decoration will be none. Then I will add a color and the color will be this one. Then I will add some padding bottom and it will be 0.4 rem. Then I will use a font size and it will be 1.1 rem. That's it. So guys, here you can see that for our large screen device we have created our footer. Now for our small screen device we have to style our footer. So for styling, let's add media queries. Media screen, and we have to add a max width, and the max width will be 850 pixel. Let's take the footer class, and here I will change the padding. Padding from top and bottom will be 4 rem, but from left and right it will be 2 rem like this. And I will also style our these icons. So that's why copy the footer and then paste it here. Then target our icon, and here I will change the margin. And margin from top it will be 1 rem, from left 1 rem, then from bottom 0, from right 0. And now I will set some width for our this div text. So that's why let's take the bottom div, and here I will set the width of 50%. That's it. Now here you can see that in one row we have 2 columns, and our this footer is looking good in our large screen device, and also we have made our footer responsive for our small screen device, and this footer is looking good in our small screen device as well. So guys, here you can see that we have successfully created our footer. Now one thing what we have to do, we have to import our this footer inside every other pages. like inside our about page, inside our service page, and inside our contact us page. So that's why let's go inside our folder, and from here open our routes and the contact, service, and about. Open our home also. That's it. Now we don't need the footer styles and footer JS. What we just have to do is let's go inside our home, copy this footer component, and then add it here. Now we have to import the footer, so that's why copy the import and then paste it here. And here you can see that we have our footer inside our contact page. Now let's go inside our about page. First add the import on the top and then copy the component name, then paste it here. That's it. Now we have footer inside our about page. Now let's go inside our service, add the footer component, then we have to add the import. That's it. Now here you can see that inside our service we have our footer, and inside our contact we have our footer, inside our about we have our footer, and inside our home page we have our footer. So guys, here you can see that we have successfully imported our footer inside every pages of our website. Now what we have to do, we have to go inside our service, and inside our service page I will reuse one component from our home page. If I go our home page, here you can see that we have recent trips. Now I will import our this component inside our service page. So that's why let's go inside our service, and here you can see that we have our navbar, we have our hero, and then we have our footer. So before our footer we have to import our that component, and the component name is trip. I will auto import it. That's it. Here you can see that recent trips is now inside our service page. So guys, here you can see that we have successfully imported our recent trips component inside our service page. So our home page and our service page is done. Now let's add some content inside our about page. So let's go inside our about, and for our about what I will do is I will create a simple component, an about component. Basically I will store all the details, all of these details inside a component, and then I will call that component inside our about page. So let's go inside our folder, and inside our components let's create a new file, and it will be about us.js, and then let's create a style sheet also, and it will be about us styles.css. That's it. Now open our about.js and about styles. First let's go our about us.js, and here we have to import our style sheet. So let's import the style sheet, and here it will be about us styles.css. Now you have to create the function. Let's create the function, and the function name will be about us, and here you have to add the return. Also you have to export it, so that's why let's export default and the function name which is about us. That's it. Now inside our return, first of all we have to create a div tag, then we have to add a class name, and the class name will be about container, and inside our about container first of all I will create a h1, and our h1 will be this one, our story. Then we will create a paragraph, and the paragraph will be this one. That's it. Now I will simply copy this h1 and the paragraph for 2 times. That's it. And now I will change the heading and paste it. That's it guys, we have successfully created our about us. Now I will simply import our this about us content inside my about.js file, and before our footer let's add the about us. That's it. Here you can see that we have our heading and our text. So guys, we have now added our about us content, about us component. Now we have to style our this about us. So for styling it, let's go inside our style sheet, and from here I will simply copy this container and then paste it here. First of all, I will add some margin, and the margin from top and bottom will be 4 rem. From left and right, it will be 6 rem. Then the text align will be start. That's it. After this one, I will target our h1. So copy this class and then paste it here. And here I will add some padding bottom, and it will be 1 rem. Then I will target the paragraph. So that's why copy the paragraph, and here it will be paragraph, and the padding bottom will be 2 rem. After this one, I will simply add media queries. So that's why let's add media, and we have to add a max width, and it will be 850 pixel. And from here I will simply decrease the space from left and right. So that's why I don't need the text align, and the left and right will be 2 rem only. That's it. So guys, here you can see that we have now successfully created our about us page also, and we have added about us content inside our about page, and also we have made this page responsive for a small screen device. Okay, so after our about page, now we have to create our contact page. Here you can see that we have to add a contact form inside our contact page. So for adding the contact form, first of all I will simply close other files. Here I only have the contact us file here, and for creating a contact form I will simply create a component, and after creating that form content I will simply add that component inside our contact us. So that's why let's go inside our folder, and inside our components let's create a new file, and it will be contact form.js. Then I will create a style sheet also. So that's why it will be contact form styles.css. That's it. Now let's open our contact form and a contact styles. First of all, go inside contact form and then import the style sheet. That's it. Then create the function, and the function name will be contact form. That's it. Then we have to add the return, and then now we have to export it. That's it. So now inside our return we have to start creating our form, and let's go inside our return and then create a div tag, and then I will add a class name, and the class name will be form container. And inside our div tag, first of all we have to create h1, and our h1 will be this one. So copy this heading from here and then paste it here. Then I will create a form, and inside our form we have to create our form. First of all I will create an input tag for our name field. So let's create input, and inside our input I will create a placeholder, and here I will add a name. That's it. Now we cannot see anything inside our contact page because it is just a component. We have to import this component inside our contact.js. So that's why before our footer, let's create a contact component. That's it. And here you can see that we have now our component inside our contact page. Okay, so now let's go inside our contact form, and here I will simply copy this name field and then paste it 2 more times, and this time the placeholder will be email, and this one will be subject. After our input I will create a text area, and here I will add a placeholder also, and the placeholder will be message, and here I will add a rows, and the rows will be 4. That's it. And after our text area I will create a button for sending our message, and the button name will be send message. Okay, so after creating our contact form we have to style it. So for styling the contact form, first of all I will copy this class name and then go inside our style sheet, then paste it here, and here first of all I will add some margin, and margin from top and bottom will be 4 rem, from left and right it will be 6 rem. Then I will add some color, and the color will be this one. Then I will target the form, and here I will add some padding top, and a padding top will be 3 rem. Then I will use display flex, then flex direction will be column. Then I will use the width of this complete form and it will be 50%. Then I will use margin auto. That's it. Now let's target our input. So copy this and paste it here and add input. And for the inputs I will add a height, and a height will be 3 rem. Then I will add some padding, and the padding from top and bottom will be 0, from left and right it will be 1 rem. Then I will add some margin bottom and it will be 2 rem. Then I will add some border radius and it will be 0.3 rem. Then I will add a border color, so it will be border, and the border will be 1 pixel solid, and the color will be this one. Now here you can see that our message area is not taking the same stylings as our this inputs. So I will simply copy these stylings and then paste it here, and here instead of input it will be text area. That's it. So now here you can see that our text area is taking the same styling as our these inputs, but here I want to change something. The padding from everywhere it will be 1 rem, and I don't want to add any height. That's it. After this one I want to style our button. Our button is not showing here because I think the button is taking the stylings from other files, so that's why we have to make sure our button is taking its own stylings. So that's why copy the class name and then paste it here, then target our button. And for some reason our button is not showing here. I think it is taking display none, but here I want a display inline. That's it. Here we have a button here, and our button have beautiful hover effect. So our contact us form is looking good in our large screen device, but in our small screen device I want to change the width of our this form. So that's why let's add media screen, and we have to add a max width, and it will be 850 pixel, and I will simply decrease the margin. So that's why copy the form container, and from left and right it will be 2 rem, and I don't want to change the color. Then I will take the form, so copy this form stylings and then paste it here, and I don't want to change anything from here and this margin. So the padding top will be 2 rem and the margin will be 90%. And that's it guys. Here you can see that our contact us form is looking good in our small screen device and in our large screen device as well. So this contact form is just a component. We are using this component inside our contact us page, and with our this contact us form we have successfully created our all the pages. If I go inside our home page, here you can see that we have our home page, we have our hero component, our popular destination component, our recent trips component, and our footer component. And all these components are dynamic. It means we can control all the data from inside these components without touching the component structure. We can change the data, and this will be very helpful if you are creating a big project, and if you have so many data and so many files inside your website, then you don't want to mess around with your main files. So that's why we have made all the components dynamic, and we can change the data from inside the data file. And here you can see that we have created all the components from our home page. And if I go to our about page, here you can see that we have our about component, about section as well, and inside our service page we have service component, and inside our contact page we have our contact component. So guys, here you can see that we have successfully created our website, and also we have made the website responsive using React.js and CSS. And this website is looking so good in our large screen device and in our small screen device as well. And guys, if you are creating this website, if you are creating this project with me, then I will request you to complete the project, to complete this website. And after completing the project, after completing this website, you can share this project in your social media accounts. And one thing you can do is you can tag us on our social media accounts, and if you tag us then we will share it in our social media profiles, and so that our viewers and our audience can see your project. And one more thing is that after creating this complete project, I have a small homework for you. Here we have created our homepage, our about page, service page, and contact us page. Now here you can see that we have one more button left, which is sign up button. What you can do is you can simply create a new page for this sign up button, and you can connect that page with our this sign up button. And from inside that page you can create a sign up form or a registration form like our contact form. Okay, so this is a small task for you. You can create a sign up page, and after creating that page, after creating that component, you can connect that page with this button. Okay, and if you do this, then your project will be completed. Just try it out, and after creating the complete website, just share it on your social media accounts, tag us, and we will reshare it with our audience and with our viewers. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys have learned something new from this course, from this tutorial. And if you guys want more tutorials, if you guys want more React.js projects in future, then please like this video, subscribe this channel, and if you have any question, then let me know in my comment section. That's it, guys. See you in our another tutorial.